Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wibon. It's National Love a Tree Day, Tony. What's your favorite tree?
I'm Tony Kornheiser. Tree Rollins, Willow Bay, Chris Pine. How about Charles Oakley? Charles Oakley, Ash Barty. You like trees? Are you a tree guy? Are you a tree hugging guy? Are you?
I don't know one tree. I know a willow tree. I know a Japanese maple. It's got to be something really distinctive. Otherwise, I have no idea.
You know what a holly tree is, I'm sure, because if you stick your hands on it, you get cut off. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Celtics eliminate the champs, 5 NHL Game 7s, and Phil Mickelson opts out of defending his PGA Championship title. But we begin today with the total collapse and no show at home by the Phoenix Suns, the best team in the NBA. The Suns were down 57-27 at the half, an alarmingly low total. Luka Doncic by himself had as many points as the entire Phoenix Suns roster. Wibon, you were there. How do you explain what you saw?
I can't, and nobody can. Nobody can adequately explain it yet. It's going to take some days. I doubt seriously that the players and coaches and staff of the Phoenix Suns can explain what they went through. I doubt it, Tony. They may try. They had to come sit at a press conference last night in the case of a few players, notably Devin Booker and Chris Paul, and attempt to do that because people like me had questions, but they can't. They can't know what hit them. Tony, I said to you this morning on your podcast, it was a massive failure of spirit. I'm not going to try to frame this with numbers. People can do that if they want. You and I have seen enough Game 7s in enough sports, and we've seen great failure and great success, the kind that winds up defining careers, to know that this is not about numbers. You have to look at see what you're looking at and try to figure out what happened, along with people who are very smart about explaining these things normally. But they're not today, Tony. I told you this morning, I got text message chains with Hall of Famers, and it went on. They went on for the whole half, and it essentially started with this. I know you're at this game. What the hell is this? All right? Yeah. People in the Hall of Fame, Tone, because you don't know what it was. They just seemed like they were just shot full of some drug, and they didn't have control of their limbs. It's like some sort of Bugs Bunny movie. And I don't know what happened. I'm waiting for the details to start trickling out. But there was a crisis, Tone. I don't think I'm overstating this. This is a crisis for the number one seed in basketball. They played from the beginning like they had all the pressure in the world of a favorite, and the Dallas Mavericks played like they had none of it. And it played out like that way for a half, and then it was over.
Yeah, so I was very surprised last night. I watched the TNT pregame show, and I saw Shaq and Kenny, without any hesitation, pick Dallas to win this game. And then Charles said, I'm rooting for Phoenix. It was not the strongest endorsement. It was, I'm rooting for Phoenix. And I was a little bit taken aback by that because I figured Phoenix would win since they'd won every game at home by an average of 19 points in this series. I see this as a massive failure by the coach, Monty Williams. His team did not care to play last night. A massive failure by Devin Booker, who I know you voted for second in the MVP race.
Yes,
he had three baskets. 3 baskets at home. A massive failure by Chris Paul, who was, I think, minus 39 on the game. May have had his worst game ever. He had 10 points, but, Mike, his first basket was in the third quarter when his team was down 40. This is at home. Yeah. I don't know that Chris Paul will ever win a ring. Great player. I don't know that he'll ever win a ring now. He's now 3-5 in Game 7s, 2-3 in Game 7s at home. And if the statistic is correct, it's amazing to me. He's the only player ever in the NBA to be on teams that lost 5 different playoff series when up 2-0, which means they got to lose either 4 in a row or 4 out of 5. And I can't state this enough. These are not neophytes in the playoffs. This isn't the Timberwolves. They went to the finals last year. They were the best team in the NBA
all year.
They were
only
8 games clear. Yeah. 8 games clear of the next team, and at home, they didn't. They didn't show up.
They're the only team to win 60 games. And Tone, we're not talking about knuckleheads. We're talking about a very close-knit group of smart guys, smart players, reliable players, right?
Yes.
Not guys who say, I'm not going to play half the season because I'm not getting a shot. We're not talking about that group of guys. And so that's why this is all the more. Tony, people back east I-95ers. You people think of Phoenix, Scottsdale, Greater Arizona as some small market. This is the 5th biggest city in America. This is a big place. It's a lot bigger than a lot of the places back east where people live and think, oh, we're big. This place is stunned out of its mind today. Today still. Okay. Last night and again today. It's going to take some time to get over it. It really, I believe it really is. Let's move to the East, please, where the Celtics beat the Bucks on both Friday and Sunday to advance to the conference final. Grant Williams hit 7 threes Sunday as Boston set a new franchise playoff record with 22 three-pointers in all. Tone, what did you take away from the Celtics winning the last 2 games against the defending champs, both elimination games?
Okay, so first of all, this was a bad game to watch. It wasn't as bad as Phoenix, but it was a bad game to watch. It was the worst game to watch in this series. And this was the best series of all. This was a series where no matter who won a game, it was close, and you said that's going to have a real impact on what goes on next. I honestly thought that Boston, they played 7. Boston could have and should have won 6 in my mind. But it was also the best series. It was the most taut series, the most tense series. Mike, I believe that the 2 best teams, from what I've watched in the playoffs, I believe the 2 best teams in the NBA are Boston and Milwaukee. And so I believe that if you win this series as Boston did, you should win the NBA championship. And now I'm going to tell you why I don't think that's going to happen, and I'm going to draw this analogy. This series reminded me of the 5-game baseball playoff last year between Los Angeles and the Giants, who I thought were the best 2 teams in baseball. Los Angeles won that series. They were so spent. They were so tired. You think Antetokounmpo was tired laying on the floor. They were so tired. They could not beat the Braves, and they were a better team than the Braves. So I sit here and think that Miami, which is a quite good team, I think that Miami's benefit is that Boston gave all it had.
Well, Tone, to that point, it's going to be hard, I think, for Boston really to win Game 1 or to be itself in Game 1, which is tomorrow. I mean, tomorrow night is Game 1 in Miami. So Miami has home court, and they're going to be rested, because they got a couple of days, not a long one, not enough to have much rust. But to go back to Boston, Tony, I picked the Celtics in 7 in that series just because I thought defensively they were the best team in the league. And ultimately, they made Giannis work. Giannis played like the 2-time MVP that he is. Yeah. He played like what I know you think he is, which is the best player in the league. Over Joker, over Durant, over, Embiid. I know. And by the way, he did nothing to dispel that. But Boston's defense, Tone, and plus their ensemble, they're a really deep team. And let's not forget, Milwaukee's second-best player didn't play much of this at all in the
Middleton
series.
Was out.
Middleton was out, and it went 7 games. It speaks well of Milwaukee, too.
That might have made a difference. Boston played strong. They played with heart. They showed you the mettle they had by winning 6 and 7. Jason Tatum became an actual star in this series. It was a great series. I don't know if either team would have anything left for Miami. We'll see. Miami, let's move to hockey. The NHL had 5 Game 7s over the weekend. All of them were highly competitive, unlike the NBA yesterday. Carolina beat Boston. Tampa Bay beat Toronto in Toronto. Edmonton beat Los Angeles behind a goal and an assist by Connor McDavid. The Rangers beat the Penguins behind 42 saves by Igor Shesterkin. And Calgary beat Dallas. Wibon, should the NHL be happy about who advanced?
I don't know what the NHL is. I don't take the temperature of the NHL. I'm happy. As somebody who, sometimes watches a hell of a lot of playoff hockey and other years does not, I'm getting into a lot now because the Game 6s and 7s, it was just finishing the first round. They were so thrilling, Tone, that I started watching more, and I think in this next round I'm going to watch a lot. I don't know how the league feels about Toronto is a more important hockey market by 1,000,000 times than Tampa, Florida. By 1,000,000. And Toronto did not advance again. Toronto never advances. And Tampa did. I know Tampa is a defending 2-time champ, right? So you're not going to be unhappy, but Toronto advancing would be a bigger deal to the people who, in the main, follow the NHL. I'm glad that Calgary and Edmonton are in. I'm sorry they're playing each other in the next round, but I'm glad they're in, particularly since Montreal and Toronto are not. And so, I look at this, and by the way, I rooted for the Rangers, but I hate that Sidney Crosby missed the rest of the series after going with injury, after going up 2-0.
Both games.
So I'm
Both
happy.
games they lost at the end.
Yes. I'm happy with it. I don't know whether the NHL is or not.
So I think the detriment is pretty obvious. There's only one original 6 team in there, and it's the Rangers, who historically are the worst of the original 6. You have 2 Canadian teams, as you mentioned, Calgary and Edmonton, but they're in Western Canada, and they lack the glamour. Montreal wasn't in the playoffs. They lack the glamour of Toronto. There's no question about that. But here's what they got. They got Connor McDavid. He's the best player in hockey. He had points, either a goal or an assist, on 5 of their last 6 goals in the 2 games where they faced elimination. He had 14 points in the series, which ties him for the most amount of points in a given series since the year 2000. They've got the morality tale of Shesterkin. Do you yank him? Don't you yank him? They didn't yank him. He won Game 6. He won Game 7. He saved 73. I think I could interest you in that. 2 games of 73 saves. They do have Tampa Bay going for a three-peat. I know you'll say it's an SEC thing because they have Tampa Bay. Florida was the number 1 in points. Colorado was the number 2 in points. They lack a certain glamour without Boston, without Pittsburgh, without Toronto, without Washington. I think they ought to be happy with what they've got. Yes. They don't have
Ovechkin,
right.
yeah, I mean,
they're
missing some Ovechkin and Crosby. Crosby, you're missing some stars.
That's right.
You really are.
Coming up, what should we make of Phil Mickelson's withdrawal from this week's PGA Championship?
And should the Reds be proud of throwing a no-no and still losing?
The other tree that I like so much is the palm, particularly when Chuck is the waiter. It's mail time, where we take ESPN's precious airtime and turn it over to random viewers. Let me see what's first.
Mail time?
What do you make of Phil Mickelson withdrawing from this week's PGA Championship?
Tony, I told you, living out here in a golf-crazed community, there was this talk. I told you this. It may have just been you and me on the phone talking, that people did not believe ever that Phil was going to play and defend his championship at the PGA Championship in Tulsa. And so this has come to fruition. He's not going to play. I know that this is being painted as Phil withdrew. I don't know how much pressure there was or wasn't to not have Phil around. I don't know. I don't know how much pressure was applied nor how much pressure he felt, because we haven't heard from Phil. But this did not happen in a vacuum. And so we now have where are we going to see Phil next? We're going to see him on this Greg Norman tour. One would think he's not retiring. He's got to play. So Phil's going to play, and it seems like he's not necessarily all that welcome right now in the PGA. And so where's he going to pop up? That's what we're waiting to see now, and to hear some explanation whenever he's willing to give one.
Okay. So I give you full credit, because you sat here a couple of weeks ago and you said he's not going to play the PGA, and I'm stunned that he's not going to play the PGA. And I'm wondering where he is going to play next. Will he play in London on the Saudi tour in June? Will he play the U.S. Open at the Country Club in Brookline? Will he ever play again? I mean, I think he's going to play again. I mean, you have to underline this about 5 times. He's one of the greatest players of all time. And he's in a self-wrapped cocoon, and we don't know where he is, and we don't know what he's doing. And everybody, when he emerges, everybody has the same question. And Phil is a talker. He likes to talk. And the question is very simple. What happened? What happened here?
Yeah.
It just gets weirder to me. I don't think he was suspended. I think he could have played in the Masters. I think he could play in the PGA. But I have no idea what is going on here, and I would like to. I see skepticism on your face because you think there's probably a suspension. I'm not sure.
No.
I didn't think so.
Suspension is too official. That's too official. But you know what happens when pressure can be applied and you don't feel you can bolt your way through and demand that you play, and you acquiesce.
I guess.
And I think there's elements of that.
I don't know if the book is that damning. I don't know if the Saudi experience is that unnerving. I don't know. Here's the next one, which I don't even care about, to be honest. Should the Reds be proud of their no-hit loss? I'll be brief when you're done.
Tony, I'll be brief. No, they lost the game, and the Reds need to win because they're pathetic. And so they lost this game because they gave up 2 runs in the bottom of the 8th to the Pirates in Pittsburgh on walks. They gave up one run, but 2 walks. So they gave it up. This is like a Little League game, too. Trust me, The morning after my prom, I walked the bases loaded and gave up a sacrifice fly and lost the game at Quigley South. Don't get me started. So this brings up nightmares for me. But should they be proud of it? No, they lost the game. They need to win.
Yeah. So I shouldn't have said I don't care about this story, but I care about the other story more. Should they be proud of it? No. They lost the game. They have this silly little asterisk that they threw a no-hitter and they lost. And by the way, people are laughing at them. They have the worst record in the league. They're 9-26. That's a pace for like 42 or 43 wins and 120 losses. Mike, if you ask baseball fans, what team could this happen to? 100% of them would say the Cincinnati Reds this year. That's what they would say, because they're a very bad team. And I think moving like the owner's kid wants to do, I don't even think that's a bad idea anymore.
Who wants them?
I don't.
Who wants them? Who would take the Reds, please?
You can't be proud of this. You can't. You lost. Enough email. Let's take one last break. Still to come, Drew Brees may be looking for a new career challenge.
Frank Gore apparently has embraced one already.
I think that's the pace, about 42 or 43 wins. I mean, happy time, people. Happy 58th birthday, John Sally. The former NBA forward spent 11 years in the league, averaging 7 points and 4.5 rebounds. Sally has 4 rings, 2 with the Pistons, 1 with the Bulls, 1 with the Lakers. He's best known for coming off the bench with the championship Bad Boy Pistons. Those top reserves, Sally, Dennis Rodman, Vinnie Johnson, Buddha Edwards, they could have started most anywhere else. After basketball, Sally sought a career in entertainment. He appeared in such films as Eddie and Bad Boys 1 and 2. On television, he hosted the Best Damn Sports Show, period, and was on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here.
So the most entertaining player I ever covered in sports is Charles Barkley. But the funniest player I ever covered, just day to day, funny, is John Sally. And I was around those Pistons teams, and I know he came to the Bulls late and the Lakers late. I spent half my life around those teams. John Sally was just walk around hysterically funny. Whether it was jokes, whether it was commenting on life and culture, John Sally was a joy to be around. I don't see enough of him. He was on First Take recently. There should be more John Sally.
Happy anniversary, Magic Johnson. On this day 42 years ago as a rookie, Magic started at center for the Lakers in Game 6 of the NBA Finals against Philadelphia. Magic took the place of an injured Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Magic delivered a spectacular performance. 42 points, 15 rebounds, 7 assists, and the Lakers won the game and the championship. Considering the magnitude of that game and the circumstances that found him playing center instead of point guard, this is arguably the greatest game ever by a rookie. There are defined eras in the NBA, the Russell era, the Jordan era. This began the Magic Bird era.
No, this is the greatest game in finals history, all right? It's the greatest game I know in my life in finals history. Magic has 2 things. He has the greatest shot in the history of the finals, the junior skyhook in Boston Garden, sitting there watching that. And that game right there, and I believe you were there, that is the greatest performance by one man in the history of the finals. So people, you can take your 12-year-old players and you can take a walk. Irvin Magic Johnson.
Happy trails to TV for Drew Brees. Despite reporting in the New York Post that Brees is done at NBC after just 1 year as a broadcaster there, Brees himself tweeted, and I quote here, "I am currently undecided. I may work for NBC. I may play football again. I may focus on business and philanthropy. I may train for the pickleball tour, the senior golf tour, coach my kids, or all of the above. I will let you know," unquote. New Orleans coach Dennis Allen said Brees' comment about returning to football was, quote, made in jest, unquote. Brees is 43. Tom Brady, 44, just unretired. Wibon, what do you think? Do you think Brees will come back to football?
I have no idea. And I really like Drew Brees and like a lot of the things he does and stands for. But I'm not going to, lay awake at night wondering what Drew Brees is going to do next.
I think he's going to come back. I think he'll take a shot. One correction. We got fouled up on Sidney Crosby. He missed games 5 and 6, was back for 7. My bad on that. Let's go to the big finish if we could.
Let's do it.
Albert Pujols pitched the 9th for the Cardinals yesterday. Are you impressed?
No. No. There's so many bizarre things in sports these days, and not all of them are a big deal. No. The Vegas Golden Knights fired head coach Peter DeBoer. Is that justified?
Is this the ghost of Lou Lamoriello going across the country to do this? The guy went to 2 conference finals. What? Kurt Busch won at the Kansas Speedway, giving Michael Jordan his 2nd win as a NASCAR owner. Is that a big deal?
Yes, that is a big deal. Michael Jordan in the winner's circle. Congratulations to MJ. Iga Swiatek and Novak Djokovic, I probably butchered that name, won the Italian Open titles despite practicing it. More significant, Tony, which one?
Swiatek, is a great player, but I would say it's Djokovic because that was on clay and he's getting ready for Paris. I would say it's that.
Yeah.
Last one.
Okay.
Frank Gore won his professional boxing debut by 4th-round knockout. Your thoughts about Frank Gore now being a boxer?
Once again, not everything's a big deal. It's good for Frank Gore, but I mean, Frank Gore is still in like a 49ers uniform in my mind, not in a ring. Sorry.
We're out of time. We'll try and do better the next time. Len Rubin, shout out.
I'm Mike Wibon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. You can get the PTI podcast on the ESPN app or Apple Podcasts. And now, Tony, here is SportsCenter.
It's good you pronounced Swiatek right.